Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I have a similar motion to instruct the conferees for House Bill 1. And this motion and instruction,
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield?
Is to use all the enterprise funds,
Not this time.
which is approximately $150 million that in the House version, instead of using that version, to use the Senate version, which they have zeroed out that fund. And I would have that the conferees consider using those funds for public education,
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman
nursing
yield?
homes,
Mr. Simpson, do
and
you yield?
libraries. I do yield now.
Mr. Simpson, let me ask you about the enterprise fund. What do you know about the enterprise fund?
Well, I know that a few years ago there was about $21 million that was given to Countrywide Financial to use to promote 7,500 jobs here in the state. They produced zero. The contract allowed them to keep $13 million. I don't know whether they kept the $13 or the $21 million. I believe that these funds should be used for the general welfare of the state of Texas.
Okay. And the welfare of Texas, let me ask you that. And do you think when those funds were given, anybody knew that we're going to have the major financial crisis that we did, that was predicted by anybody?
No, I think this increases the importance of using these funds to educate our children, to take care of our elderly,
let me tell you what,
not to give them to special interests.
Mr. Simpson, there are 1,300 jobs in one plant in Sherman, Texas, and over 450 jobs in a plant in Denison, Texas, that had the enterprise funds not been available, do you know where those jobs would have gone? Oklahoma or somewhere else.
I think it's our job to
tell you, Mr. Simpson, it is a level playing field. They have a very good process they go through to approve these plans, from Speaker Craddock to Speaker Strauss, to make sure that these are invested. And do you know what? That those two enterprise funds that have come to my district, that they have returned more than were given, and that we have more jobs than they promised to bring. And that there are taxes being paid because they're here. If we don't have an economic investment,
I think the best way to attract,
Mr. Simpson, you would agree that we would lose jobs if we can't compete on economic investment.
I think the best way to compete is to train and educate a workforce of the coming generation with our community colleges.
And you know what? That's exactly right. And you know what? That's exactly why we have Job Skills Fund that we work.
Senator Sheffield raised a point of order. Gentleman's time expired.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we pass this motion to instruct the conferees of House Bill 1.
Mr. Speaker, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Are you aware that the enterprise fund was first created with rainy day funds in 2003?
Chair is not advised. Thank you. Question occurs on the adoption of the Simpson motion to instruct. Strict enforcement has been requested. It's a record vote. I'm sorry, Representative Strama to speak in opposition.
I know, sorry. I surprised myself being here to speak against this. I voted with Mr. Simpson on the last one. I just want to tell you when I chaired the committee that Chairman Davis chairs now, I went in with the assumption that I would hate the enterprise fund and love the emerging tech fund, because one was meant to invest in small businesses, entrepreneurial startups, commercializing technology out of higher education, something dear to my heart. The other is essentially a subsidy to big companies to try to get them to come locate in Texas. Philosophically, everything about me wanted to be for the emerging tech fund and against the enterprise fund. What I found in looking at it carefully for 2 years, and I'll bet Chairman Davis feels the same way, is that we actually have to compete with other states who are going to give these subsidies to big corporations that we shouldn't be doing it. None of us should be doing it. But you cannot tie one arm behind your back in this economic development competition against other states. I hate doing it. I don't like doing it. But I think we have to do it. I don't think we need the emerging tech fund. I don't think it fulfills its original purpose and mission. I do think we have to have the enterprise fund, as much as I hate it, especially in light of these cuts. I will yield.
Mark, did you realize that any funds that are in the enterprise fund are protected by statute?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but I trust that you know better than I do, and I believe that.
And that there's no new general revenue that was put in House Bill 1 for the enterprise fund?
That is my understanding. That is my understanding. I'm not sure what the implications of that are for this motion to instruct.
And if you took money out of the general, if you took the unexpended balances out of the enterprise fund, it would be an additional cost to our bill?
I did not know that. That's helpful to understand. That makes me feel even better about being up here that I'm very reluctant to be up here about in the first place.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Truitt, for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for a couple of
Strama, do
questions?
you yield?
I will.
Mr. Strama, do you think that the members need to think long and hard about this one?
I do.
Are you aware that I voted with Mr. Simpson on the last vote?
I did too. I didn't know you did.
Are you aware that this vote to sustain his or to instruct the conferees is sending a message that this is a job killer for the state?
You know, I can see it being portrayed that way. I thought Chairman Phillips expressed it well.
Point of order, gentleman's time expired.